the first thing that I learned about was this: fear. Fear was huge in my life and took up a great big part of my thinking and controlled almost everything that I did. And a good way to understand how fear can control your life is for us to do a little activity. So can I ask you please to stand up and find a partner, someone that you're willing to hold hands with. Now what you need to do is stand side by side. No, side by side like this, yes, and hold your hand so that your hands are beside each other like this, about this far apart. Okay. Now what you need to do is to hit your hand against the other person's thigh more times than they hit their hand against yours. And you need to go as fast as you can, and when we finish, I'm going to ask the people who lost, all of the people who lost, you need to come up to the front here with me, and I'm going to ask you some questions about why you thought you didn't do very well in that activity. Okay, so you ready? You've got 20 seconds. Ready? Go. You can do three. Do three. And stop. Thank you very much, girls. Take a seat. So what did you, first I need to tell you, I told a little fib. I'm not going to make you come up the front, and I'm not going to ask who lost. I just added that into the activity just so it was a little bit more challenging. And how did you feel when I added that and told you that was going to happen? What were you thinking?
Fear.
Fear?
Fear. Coming up the front. Yeah.
Try hard.
You wanted to
dodge it.
Yes. So all of your energy is focused on what you don't want. All of your energy is focused on do this as much as you can, as hard as you can, so you don't have to do what you're scared of. Yes. So that's what fear can do to us. It takes over our whole brains and makes us work even harder and harder. And then we notice it's not working, so what do? We do it more and even harder and harder. And we work ourselves into a lather and we're exhausted from trying so hard. That's what happens when fear controls us. It doesn't allow us to use our brain to think about what are some other ways to do this. So can you think of any other ways you could have done that activity so that you could have won?
Use my other arm.
Mm-hmm. Maybe used your other arm. Maybe turned your arms around the other way so that your hand is against the other person's thigh all of the time. Maybe you could take turns and hit each other's thigh exactly the same number of times. But it's only when we take away the fear and we have a chance to think about it that we realise there are other solutions. The fear can be the controlling factor and there's no brain space left to think about anything else. I'd like to tell you a story from my own experience about when that kind of fear had control of me. And it was about 18 months after Stuart died, and I had started dating someone else. I had a boyfriend, and I was going to a party at my sister's house. And this was the first time that most of the people in my family and most of my friends would meet this boyfriend. And I was very anxious about this. I was very concerned about how everyone would react, how they would react to seeing me and how they would react to meeting this new boyfriend. So we drove to the party and we stopped at my sister's house and he turned off the engine and I said, now stay in the car, we need to set the rules. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, my family are going to be there, my friends will be there too. We need to decide how we're going to manage this. I said, now what if my dad sees us together? My dad, he's not going to cope with that. If he sees us holding hands, oh my gosh, he just won't be able to cope. So, okay, we don't go near my dad. Stay away from my dad, no holding hands. Now also, there's going to be Stuart's best friend there, and he's just going to see us together and it's just going to remind him of Stuart and he's going to be too sad. What if he gets really sad at the party? He'll want to leave and then he's going to ruin the party. Okay, we have to stay away from Alex too. No talking to Alex. Okay, now also there's going to be those other friends there that I haven't seen since the funeral. It's been ages. What if they see you and they forget and they call you Stuart? Oh my gosh, what if that happened? They'll just be mortified. Other people at the party will be really embarrassed. I'll start crying. It'll be a disaster. Okay, we can't go to the party. Just let's start the car again. We have to leave. My boyfriend looked at me and he said, what if we go into the party, your family are so relieved to see that you're happy and they like me, and we have a good time? And I said, don't be ridiculous. That's not going to happen. Well, but maybe it could. I realised that my what ifs were so big and were so negative that I didn't have any space for anything else. I learned that day to shrink the scary what ifs right down and leave some space for some good what ifs. And I created a much better future for myself. I'm really glad I did that, because if I hadn't gone to that party, I might never have introduced that boyfriend to my family. And if that never happened, I probably would have broken up with him. And if that had happened, then I wouldn't have the husband that I have now.